Emma and Ethan were twins who always did things together from the moment they were born. Their parents said they had been inseparable. If Emma cried as a baby, Ethan cried too. If Ethan laughed, Emma would laugh right after growing up. They became known in their neighborhood as the Mirror Twins because not only did they look so much alike, they often acted alike as well. They lived in a quiet town. In a house filled with love and the usual chaos of family life, their parents worked regular jobs. Their mother as a teacher and their father as an office manager. Nothing about their lives seemed unusual or mysterious. They were just like any other pair of siblings, except for the fact that they were born on the very same day. One Saturday afternoon, the twins were sitting in the living room. Scrolling through their phones, Ethan stumbled upon a video that had gone viral. In the video, two sisters had taken a DNA test for fun, only to find out surprising details about their ancestry. The video was full of laughter, shock, and a little bit of drama. Ethan chuckled and turned his screen toward Emma. "We should do this," he said with a grin. "It looks fun." Emma raised her eyebrows. "A DNA test? Why?" "We already know who we are," she teased, but she was curious too. She leaned in and watched the video with him. The sisters in the clip had learned that they had relatives in countries they never expected. It was silly, but also exciting. Emma could feel her curiosity growing. Their parents entered the room just then, and the twins quickly shared the idea. Their mother laughed. "A DNA test. Just for fun." "That sounds harmless," she said. Their father added jokingly, "Maybe you two will find out you're secretly related to royalty." Everyone laughed, and the idea didn't seem so crazy anymore. That evening, after dinner, Emma and Ethan sat at the computer and ordered a DNA test kit online. It wasn't expensive, and it promised to reveal ancestry details, health markers, and even possible distant relatives. To them, it sounded like an adventure, like opening a treasure chest of secrets. They joked about what they might discover. Maybe they had Viking blood. Maybe they had some famous ancestor. The possibilities seemed endless. The kit arrived a few days later in a small, neatly packaged box. The instructions were simple. Spit into a tube, seal it, and send it back. The twins laughed the whole time they were spitting into the little vials. It felt silly, almost childish, but they were having fun. They sealed the box and mailed it the next morning, waving goodbye to it as if it were carrying their greatest secret out into the world. After sending it off, the excitement died down for a while. Weeks passed, and life returned to normal. They went to school, hung out with friends, and argued over small things like who got the last cookie or who left the bathroom light on. But deep down, both Emma and Ethan were waiting for the email that would tell them the results were ready, sometimes at night. They would sit in their room and talk about what they might find out. What if it says we're not really twins? Ethan would joke. Emma would roll her eyes. "That's impossible. Look at us. We're basically copies," she would reply. But even as she said it, a tiny part of her wondered. What if the results said something unexpected? Their friends at school got curious too. When Emma mentioned the DNA test at lunch, everyone crowded around to ask questions. Some said they wished they could take one too. Others teased them, saying they might find out something they didn't want to know. That thought lingered with Emma. What if the test revealed something about their family that was meant to stay hidden? Their parents weren't worried at all. Their mother would occasionally ask if the results had come yet, but always with a smile. She didn't believe anything strange would come out of it. Their father joked that maybe the twins would discover they had relatives in faraway lands and would get free vacations. It was all lighthearted, all in good fun, but for Emma, the waiting grew heavier with time. She didn't say it out loud, but she felt a strange nervousness, as if something important was coming. She couldn't explain why. Maybe it was just her imagination. Or maybe it was the way Ethan kept making jokes about them discovering some big family secret. Whatever it was, she started dreaming about the test at night, imagining scenarios where the results shocked everyone. One night, as they sat in their room playing video games, Ethan said, "You know, people say DNA can reveal things you don't expect, like missing family members, health problems, even secrets parents never told their kids." His words hung in the air longer than his jokes usually did. Emma glanced at him and then back at the game screen. "Yeah, but that's not us. We're just normal, remember?" she said, trying to brush it off, but inside she felt a shiver. The test results were still weeks away. But already the idea had planted seeds of curiosity, excitement, and even fear. What started as a silly experiment was slowly beginning to feel like the beginning of something much bigger. And though neither twin could put it into words, both of them sensed that when the results finally arrive, life might never be the same again. The package was gone, dropped into the mailbox and sent away for Emma and Ethan. It felt strange to think that a small tube of spit now carried pieces of their identity across the country to some unknown lab. At first, they laughed about it, made silly jokes about scientists in white coats examining their DNA like it was a movie scene. But once the laughter faded, all that remained was the waiting. The company's website had warned them it could take weeks before the results came back. 4 to 6 weeks, Emma read aloud, sighing. Ethan smirked. "That's forever in twine time," he said. They both groaned at the thought of waiting so long for something they were suddenly desperate to know. In the beginning, the waiting was fun. They spent evenings imagining wild scenarios. "What if we find out we're related to some famous celebrity?" Ethan teased. "Or pirates," Emma added with a laugh. They even made a list of outrageous possibilities, pinning it on the wall above their desk. Royalty, treasure hunters, adventurers, maybe even long-lost secret agents. It was just a game. And the whole family treated it that way, but as days turned into weeks, the mood around the DNA test began to shift. At school, Emma mentioned the test again to her friends during lunch. This time, the reactions were more serious. One of her classmates leaned across the table and said, "You know, people sometimes find out things their parents never told them, like family secrets or even hidden siblings." Emma laughed nervously. "Not us," she said. But the words stuck in her head that night. As she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, she couldn't shake the thought. What if the test revealed something their parents didn't want them to know? What if this fun experiment turned into something bigger? She closed her eyes and told herself it was silly. But sleep didn't come easily. Meanwhile, Ethan was impatient in a different way. He refreshed his email inbox every morning and every night, hoping to see the subject line that said, "Your results are ready," but there was nothing. He even downloaded the company's app to track the progress of their samples. The status bar crept forward slowly, processing, analyzing, reviewing. Each step felt like a lifetime. Their parents didn't seem worried at all. Their father joked about winning the lottery of DNA. "Maybe it'll say, 'We're descended from kings and queens.'" He laughed. Their mother shook her head, amused. "Don't get your hopes up, you too. It's probably just going to tell us we're a mix of everything like everyone else." But sometimes, when their mother thought they weren't looking, Emma noticed her face growing thoughtful, as if even she was wondering what the test might say. Emma caught her once standing in the kitchen, staring out the window with the unopened test instructions still in her hand. It was only a moment, but it made Emma wonder if her mother was hiding something. The weeks dragged on, and the twins grew restless. They tried to distract themselves with school projects, video games, and sports. But the DNA test was always in the back of their minds. It became almost like a ghost in their house, invisible but always present. Every time the mail came, Ethan ran to check, hoping for a letter or update every time his phone buzzed with an email. He jumped, only to sigh in disappointment. Emma began writing about it in her journal. She described her excitement, her fears, even her strange dreams, in one dream. She imagined opening the results only to find a blank page staring back at her. In another, she saw her parents whispering in the corner. Refusing to show her the truth, she didn't tell Ethan about these dreams, afraid it would make him more anxious than he already was. As the fourth week passed, the tension grew heavier. The twins started arguing more often. Ethan snapped at Emma for borrowing his headphones. Emma rolled her eyes when Ethan complained about the slow results for the 100th time. It wasn't really about the headphones or the waiting. It was the pressure building inside them both. Finally, one quiet evening, something unexpected happened. Ethan was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone, when his face suddenly froze. "Emma," he whispered, his voice sharp. Emma looked up from her homework. "What?" she asked. Ethan held out his phone. His screen showed the app's notification. "Your DNA results are ready." Emma's heart leaped into her throat. She jumped to her feet, her chair scraping across the floor. "No way. Are you serious?" she asked. Rushing over, Ethan's hands trembled as he opened the app. The screen loaded slowly, too slowly. It felt like time had stopped. Emma leaned against his shoulder, barely breathing. The results page finally appeared, but instead of simple numbers or percentages, they saw something strange. Next to their names were warning symbols, red markers that didn't make sense. "What does that mean?" Emma whispered. Ethan frowned, confused. "I don't know. It doesn't look like the ones in the video." Their excitement turned to unease. They stared at the screen, waiting for it to make sense. But the more they looked, the stranger it became. Certain sections of the report were locked, showing messages like, "Consult a medical professional." Emma felt her stomach twist. Why would we need a doctor? "This was supposed to be for fun," she said quietly. Ethan didn't answer. His face had gone pale. He closed the app and whispered, "We should call Dr. Reynolds." Neither of them realized it yet, but the waiting was over. And the real story was just about to begin. The evening was quiet. The sun had gone down, and the house was filled with the soft hum of the television in the living room. Emma was curled up with a book, while Ethan sat with his laptop on the desk, refreshing the DNA testing website for what felt like the 1,000th time. He had grown used to disappointment. The same message repeating again and again. "Your results are not ready yet." But then, something different appeared on the screen. Ethan blinked twice to be sure. The page had changed. Across the top in bold letters were the words they had been waiting for. "Your DNA results are ready." His heart skipped. "Emma!" he shouted, his voice breaking the stillness of the house. Emma looked up, startled. "What? What happened?" she asked, throwing her book aside. Ethan spun the laptop around, his hands trembling. "It's here. The results are here." They huddled close, shoulders touching, staring at the screen as Ethan clicked the login button. The website loaded slowly, like it knew the tension it was creating. Emma tapped her fingers nervously against her leg. Come on," she muttered. The spinning circle felt like torture at last. The page appeared. But what they saw wasn't what they expected. Instead of colorful pie charts showing ancestry breakdowns or fun little family connections, the screen was filled with blocks of text and warnings. Bright red symbols glared back at them. Next to their profiles were words neither of them understood, medical terms, strange codes, and a message flashing at the top. "Please consult a licensed medical professional immediately." Emma frowned. "This doesn't look right," she said softly. Ethan scrolled down, but the more he looked, the stranger it became. Whole sections of their results were locked, blacked out with warnings that said, "Restricted due to health and legal concerns." "This isn't normal," Ethan whispered. His throat felt dry. Emma glanced at him, her face pale. "Maybe it's just a glitch," she said quickly. Though her voice shook, she didn't believe her own words. For a moment, they sat in silence, staring at the screen as if the answers would reveal themselves, but all they saw were more warnings. One line in particular made Emma's stomach twist. Higher-risk genetic anomalies detected. Ethan swallowed hard. "We should call Mom and Dad," he said. His voice sounded far away. Emma nodded, and together they carried the laptop downstairs. Their parents were sitting in the living room watching a crime drama on TV. Their mother looked up and smiled. "What's all the noise about?" she asked. "The results came in," Ethan said. Trying to sound calm, but failing, their father muted the television. "That was fast," he said cheerfully, but his smile faded when he saw their faces. Emma set the laptop on the coffee table and spun it around. Their parents leaned in. Their mother's hand went to her mouth the moment she saw the warnings. "Oh my God," she whispered. Their father's brows knitted together. "What does this mean?" he muttered. Scrolling down, he read the words aloud slowly. "Higher-risk genetic anomalies. Restricted data. Immediate consultation required." His voice grew tighter with each phrase. Emma felt tears sting her eyes. "It was supposed to be fun," she whispered. Her mother wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. But even in the warmth of her mother's embrace, Emma felt a cold fear. Ethan grabbed his phone. "I'm calling Dr. Reynolds," he said firmly. "Doctor?" Reynolds had been their family doctor since they were children. He was calm, kind, and someone they trusted. If anyone could explain this, it was him. The phone rang 3 times before the doctor answered. His voice was steady. "Hello? Ethan, is everything okay?" Ethan's words tumbled out in a rush. "Dr. Reynolds, we got our DNA results back, and they're weird. They say things about anomalies and restrictions. It doesn't look normal." There was a pause on the line. Longer than usual, the doctor finally said, "Bring me the results right away. Don't wait." His tone was different. Sharp, urgent. Ethan looked at his family. His heart pounding. "He wants us to come now, within minutes." They were in the car, the laptop sitting on Emma's lap like a ticking bomb. The ride to Dr. Reynolds' office felt endless. No one spoke. The silence was heavy. Filled with fear, Emma clutched the laptop tightly, as though it might fly away if she loosened her grip. When they arrived, Dr. Reynolds was already waiting. He ushered them into his office without a word. His face was pale, and his eyes darted quickly to the laptop. "Show me," he said. Ethan opened the results and turned the screen toward him. The doctor's eyes scanned the page. His brow furrowed deeper and deeper. He muttered under his breath, using words the twins didn't recognize. Finally, he leaned back in his chair. His hands were trembling slightly. Emma's voice cracked. "What does it mean?" she asked. Dr. Reynolds looked at them with an expression they had never seen before. It was a mix of shock, worry, and something darker. "Some of these markers, they're not just medical," he said quietly. He pointed to a section of the report. "This kind of result is flagged not only for health risks, but also for other reasons." He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "This data matches markers in a federal database." Their father frowned. "A federal database? What are you talking about?" Dr. Reynolds took a deep breath. "I'm afraid I can't explain everything here, but I have to make a call." He reached for his phone, his hand unsteady. Emma's chest tightened. "What kind of call?" she asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. The doctor looked at them with grave eyes. "The kind of call that cannot wait." Then, before anyone could stop him, he dialed 911. Asterisk, the room went silent the moment Dr. Reynolds pressed the 3 numbers. Emma could hear the faint sound of his heartbeat monitor in the corner, beeping steadily, and the soft click of the phone as he lifted it to his ear. Her breath caught. She didn't understand why a DNA test, something meant to be fun, had led to this. 911. What's your emergency? The operator's calm voice filled the air. Dr. Reynolds spoke in a low but firm tone. This is Dr. Andrew Reynolds. I need immediate response at my office. It's urgent. Code red situation involving genetic identification. Emma's stomach twisted. She didn't know what code red meant. But it didn't sound like something ordinary. Her father stood up from his chair. His face flushed. Doctor, what is this about? What do you mean urgent? Dr. Reynolds held up a hand, his eyes never leaving the computer screen. Please, Mr. Carter. Let me handle this. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he ended the call. He set the phone down slowly, as though it were made of glass. Ethan leaned forward, his voice cracking. Why did you call 911? What's wrong with us? What does the DNA say? Dr. Reynolds exhaled. He rubbed his forehead and looked at the twins. Listen carefully. Some of the genetic markers in your DNA are not just medical indicators. They are flagged in national and international crime databases. This is extremely unusual. And it means authorities must be informed immediately. Emma's heart raced. Crime database. But we didn't do anything wrong. She cried. Her mother pulled her close, her arms tightening protectively. Her father's jaw clenched. Doctor, are you telling me my children's DNA is connected to criminals? The doctor hesitated. Not exactly. It's more complicated than that. What I can say is this. The anomalies in your children's DNA match markers linked to a case I cannot legally discuss. That's why emergency services need to be involved. I know this is frightening. But it is necessary. The family was stunned into silence. Then, outside, a faint sound broke the stillness. At first, it was just a low hum, but it grew louder. Flashing red and blue lights spilled across the window blinds. Emma's eyes widened as she realized what it was: sirens. Moments later, the office door burst open. 2 police officers entered, followed closely by a paramedic team. Their expressions were serious, one of them carrying a tablet, the other speaking into a radio. Dr. Reynolds. Where are the subjects? Emma flinched at the word subjects. The team made her and Ethan feel less like human beings and more like something under a microscope. Ethan stepped back instinctively, his hand brushing Emma's. The officer's eyes landed on the twins immediately. Her father stepped forward, furious. What is the meaning of this? These are my children. You can't just storm in here like this. The taller officer spoke firmly. Sir, please remain calm. We're here for the safety of your family and the community. We need to confirm identities based on flagged genetic data. He pulled up a file on his tablet. Glancing at the twins, his expression tightened. It matches. Exactly. Emma's knees felt weak. Matches what? She whispered. The officer didn't answer right away. He exchanged a look with Dr. Reynolds, a look heavy with things unsaid. The paramedics moved closer, holding out a small case. We'll need to run a secondary test immediately. Just a quick cheek swab to confirm. One of them explained. Emma recoiled. We already did the test. Why do you need another? Her mother clutched her hand, whispering, It's okay, honey. Just let them check. But even her mother's voice trembled with fear. Ethan gritted his teeth. I don't like this, but he didn't resist as one of the paramedics gently swabbed the inside of his cheek. Emma followed, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. While they waited for the rapid test, the room felt like it was shrinking. Emma could barely breathe. She glanced at Ethan, who looked pale, his jaw tight with anger and fear. Their father paced back and forth, his fists clenched. Their mother sat frozen, tears welling in her eyes. Finally, one of the paramedics checked the small device and nodded grimly at the officers. Confirmed, it's a match. Emma's voice shook. A match to what? Please, somebody tell us what's happening. The officer finally looked directly at the family, his tone grave. The DNA from both of your children has been flagged in connection to a missing persons case from almost 2 decades ago. It appears that one or both of your twins are linked to an unresolved abduction investigation. The words hit like thunder. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Ethan staggered back, whispering abduction. That's impossible. We've lived here our whole lives. Her father roared. This is ridiculous. My children were born in this town hospital. Everyone knows that. Dr. Reynolds spoke gently. Sometimes hospital records are not what they appear to be. He looked at Emma and Ethan, his voice softening. I know this is terrifying. But answers will come. We just have to let the authorities do their job. The room was spinning for Emma. Her childhood memories suddenly felt fragile, like they could shatter if she looked too closely. She clung to Ethan's hand. Her only anchor, Ethan squeezed back, his eyes blazing with fear and confusion. The officer closed his tablet. We'll need to escort the children for further evaluation and questioning. No, their mother cried, clutching Emma tighter. You can't take them away. They're just kids. The officer's expression softened slightly, but his tone remained firm. Ma'am, please understand. This is about their safety as much as anyone else's. If there are answers hidden in their DNA, we have to find them. Emma's world felt like it was falling apart. All because of a simple DNA test that was supposed to be nothing more than fun. And now? With police standing in front of them and her doctor dialing 911 still echoing in her ears, she realized life would never be normal again. Asterisk, the flashing red and blue lights outside painted the small medical office in streaks of color. Emma had never seen so many police cars in one place before. The sound of radios crackling filled the air. Officers moved quickly, their boots heavy against the floor. Every step felt like thunder to her pounding heart. Ethan stood frozen, his hand gripping Emma's. His knuckles had turned white. This is insane, he whispered. His voice shook. But there was a sharp edge of anger in it too. Emma wanted to answer, but her mouth was dry. The only sound she could make was a faint gasp as she watched more paramedics enter the room. Carrying equipment, one officer spoke quietly into his radio. Subjects identified, confirmed through rapid DNA test. Proceeding with extraction protocol, Emma flinched. The word extraction made her stomach twist. We're not criminals, she said weakly. Her mother pulled her close. Glaring at the officers, these are my children. You don't talk about them like that. But the officers kept working. Their movements were calm but urgent. One set up a laptop on the desk while another began scanning the twins with a handheld device. It beeped softly as it hovered near Emma's arm. Then Ethan's, the officer typed quickly into his tablet. Frowning at the screen, her father stepped forward. His voice loud with fury. That's enough. Somebody explain what's going on right now? The taller officer, the one who seemed in charge, looked up at him. His expression was serious, but not unkind. Sir, please understand this. We believe one of your children may be connected to an unsolved abduction case from nearly 17 years ago. Until we confirm the details, we have to treat this as an emergency. Her father's face turned red. Unsolved abduction. That's impossible. We were there when they were born. We've raised them every day of their lives. Dr. Reynolds shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Hospital records can be complicated, he murmured. His words only fueled the storm. Emma's chest felt tight, like she couldn't take a full breath. She looked at Ethan, hoping for reassurance. But he looked just as lost, his lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes filled with questions he couldn't voice. A paramedic approached with a small case, opening it to reveal another set of swabs. We need secondary verification through a federal lab. It will only take a few minutes to confirm the initial match, she explained gently. Emma wanted to scream that she was tired of swabs. Tired of being poked and tested, but she didn't resist. The swab brushed her cheek quickly, then Ethan's. The samples were sealed and handed off to an officer who hurried out the door. The room was filled with silence after that, broken only by the faint hum of machinery and the crackle of radios. Emma sat down slowly, her legs shaking. She pressed her hands together to stop them from trembling. She whispered to Ethan, "What if it's true? What if we're not? Who we think we are?" Ethan shook his head fiercely. "No, don't say that. We're us. We're Emma and Ethan. That's all." His words were strong. But Emma could hear the crack in his voice. Minutes later, the officer returned. Holding the tablet tightly, his face gave away nothing. But the way the other officers straightened told Emma the results were serious. He cleared his throat and spoke. "The federal database confirms it. One of these twins is genetically connected to a missing infant from a hospital case nearly 18 years ago. A case involving suspected child trafficking." Emma's body went cold. She felt as if the ground beneath her had disappeared. A missing infant. She repeated softly. Ethan's mouth fell open. "That's not possible. That can't be us." Their mother's face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. "No. No. This has to be a mistake. I carried them. I gave birth to them," she said, but her voice faltered. Her father stood behind her, his fists clenched, his whole body shaking with rage and disbelief. "You're accusing us of what? Stealing our own children." The officer shook his head. "We're not accusing anyone, sir. But the DNA doesn't lie. We need to investigate further, and for now, we have to secure the twins and review their birth records." The word secure made Emma feel like she was no longer a daughter. No longer even a person, but some piece of evidence. Her hands clenched tightly into fists. "I don't want to go anywhere," she whispered. Ethan stood tall beside her, his face pale, but his voice steady. "If you take her, you take me too. We're twins. We stay together." The officers exchanged glances, but none of them argued. One finally nodded. They'll remain together, as the officers prepared paperwork and escorted the family outside. Emma caught sight of their reflection in the office window. The flashing lights painted their faces red and blue. She barely recognized the frightened girl staring back at her for the first time. She wondered if her entire life had been built on a secret too dark to imagine. The ride home wasn't quiet. Sirens didn't follow them. But the silence in the car was heavy and unbearable. Her mother cried quietly, clutching Emma's hand. Her father stared straight ahead, his jaw locked. Ethan leaned against the window, refusing to look at anyone. When they finally reached the house, officers stood guard outside. Their home, once a place of warmth and laughter, now looked like a crime scene. Emma felt her knees go weak. "This can't be happening," she whispered, but deep down, as the night stretched on and the questions grew louder, Emma knew this was only the beginning. The truth about who they really were had just begun to unravel. The night felt endless. The twins sat together on the couch. Wrapped in a heavy silence, police officers stood outside the house like shadows, their radios crackling now and then. Emma's mother had stopped crying, but her eyes were swollen and red. Their father paced the floor restlessly, his anger like a storm waiting to break. Finally, near midnight, there was a knock at the door. An officer stepped inside, followed by a woman in a dark suit carrying a thick folder. She introduced herself as Agent Miller from the Federal Investigation Bureau. Her voice was calm but serious. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, Emma, Ethan. I'm here to explain what we found." Everyone leaned forward, desperate for answers. Emma gripped Ethan's hand so tightly her knuckles hurt. Her heart raced as she waited for the woman to speak. Agent Miller opened the folder and laid several old documents on the coffee table. 17 years ago, there was a case at Riverbend Hospital. A newborn went missing from the maternity ward just hours after birth. Despite investigations, the case was never solved. The infant's identity was marked in the national database as missing. And the trail went cold, until now Emma's mother shook her head, her voice breaking. "But I gave birth to both of them. I remember holding them." Agent Miller nodded. "I don't doubt that you carried twins, ma'am. But what the DNA shows is that one of these children doesn't biologically belong to either you or your husband. One twin is your child by birth, but the other matches the DNA of the missing infant from that case." The words fell like thunder in the room. Emma felt her chest tighten. "So, one of us doesn't belong here," she whispered. Ethan's grip on her hand grew tighter. "No, that's wrong," he said firmly. "We're twins. We've always been twins." Her father's face was pale, his fists clenched at his sides. "This is impossible," he said. "We raised them. They're both ours." Agent Miller sighed, flipping through the documents. "We believe that during the chaos at Riverbend Hospital, your biological child was born alongside another infant who was taken that same night. It appears one child was swapped into your care without your knowledge, and records were falsified. That's why the DNA flagged in the system." Emma's mind spun. The room blurred as tears filled her eyes. She looked at Ethan, searching for answers in his face. But he was shaking his head, whispering, "No, no, no," like a prayer. Her mother began to sob again, clutching her chest. "So one of my babies isn't mine," she cried, "but I've loved them the same. I've raised them the same." Agent Miller's expression softened. "No matter the bloodline, they're still the children you raised, but genetically. One of them is connected to a family who has been searching for answers for 17 years. Emma felt her throat close. Whose child am I? Or is it Ethan?" Her voice cracked and silence followed. No one wanted to say the words out loud. The agent hesitated, then slid another paper across the table. It showed highlighted names and numbers based on the markers. "It's Ethan. His DNA matches the missing infant, Emma. You are biologically the Carter's daughter. Ethan is not." The world seemed to shatter. Emma turned to Ethan, her heart aching. Ethan's eyes filled with tears for the first time that night. "So what? I was stolen. I don't belong here." His voice broke. Emma threw her arms around him, shaking her head fiercely. "No, don't say that. You're my brother. You'll always be my brother." Her tears fell onto his shoulder. Her mother rushed forward, wrapping them both in her arms. "You are my son," she sobbed. "I don't care what their files say. You are my boy." Her father, though, stood still, silent. His face was unreadable. His hands shook as he whispered, "All this time." Agent Miller gave them a moment before speaking again. "Ethan's biological parents have been contacted. They never stop searching. Tomorrow, they will want to meet him." Ethan's head snapped up, fear flashing in his eyes. "Meet them? But I don't even know them. My family is here." His voice cracked with anger and confusion. Emma held on to him tightly, as if afraid someone would rip him away. The room filled with heavy emotions: love, fear, anger, disbelief. Emma's mother whispered over and over, "They can't take you from us." They won't, but deep inside, Emma knew things would never be the same. A line had been drawn. The DNA test had turned their world upside down, and no matter what happened next, their lives were split between the family they knew and the family waiting in the shadows. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She lay awake, listening to Ethan's quiet breathing in the bed across from hers. Her heart ached. She wanted to go back to before, when the DNA test was just a silly game. But she couldn't. The truth was out now and tomorrow. Ethan's past and their future would arrive on their doorstep. Asterisk morning came, but it didn't feel like any other morning. The house that had once been filled with laughter and ordinary routines now sat heavy with silence. Emma woke early, her eyes swollen from crying through the night. Across the room, Ethan sat on the edge of his bed. Staring at the floor, he hadn't slept at all. His hands fidgeted restlessly, but his face looked empty, as if he was lost inside himself downstairs. Their parents moved quietly. Their mother made coffee, but didn't drink it. Their father stood by the window, staring out at the police cars still parked outside. Guarding their home like it was a crime scene, no one spoke, no one knew what to say. At 9 o'clock sharp, a black car pulled up. A woman stepped out first. It was Agent Miller again. She walked to the door and knocked gently. When their father opened it, she gave him a careful look. "They're here," she said softly. Behind her, a couple emerged from the car. A man and a woman in their 40s. Their faces were lined with years of grief. But in their eyes burned a hope that had never died. They carried no flowers, no gifts. Only the weight of 17 years spent searching for the child they had lost. Emma's breath caught. She knew immediately who they were. Her heart pounded as she looked at Ethan. His face had gone pale, his lips parted. But no words came out. The strangers stepped inside. Their eyes locked onto Ethan as if nothing else in the world existed. The woman's hands trembled as she whispered, "It's him. I know it's him." Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. The man beside her clenched his jaw. But his eyes glistened. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. His voice shook. I don't know you," he said. His words were soft but heavy with fear. Emma stood beside him, gripping his hand. She wanted to shield him, to protect him from the flood of emotions crashing into the room. The woman wiped her tears. "You don't have to know us yet," she said gently. "But we've known you in our hearts every day since the night you were taken. We never gave up, not for a single moment." Emma's mother stepped forward, her face wet with tears. "He's my son," she whispered fiercely. "I raised him, I held him when he cried. I taught him to walk, to speak, to laugh. I will not let you take him away from me." Her voice cracked, but her resolve was unshakable. The room split into two families, bound together by a cruel twist of fate. Both claiming the same boy, Ethan sat in the middle, trembling. "I don't know what to do," he whispered. His eyes darted between the only parents he had ever known and the strangers whose blood ran in his veins. Emma squeezed his hand tighter. "You don't have to decide right now," she said softly. "You're my brother, no matter what. Nothing will change that." Agent Miller cleared her throat gently. "No one is asking for a decision today. This is only the beginning. What matters is that the truth is out. Ethan's identity is no longer lost. But how you move forward, that will be for you and both families to decide together." The air was thick with emotions, anger, grief, love, relief, and fear, all tangled together. Ethan buried his face in his hands. His voice came out muffled. "Why did this happen to me? Why couldn't I just be normal?" Emma leaned close, whispering fiercely, "You are normal. You're my twin. You're Ethan. That's who you are. No test can change that." Her words steadied him. Pulling him back from the edge, the biological mother reached into her pocket and pulled out a small photograph. She held it out with shaking hands. "This was you," she whispered. The photo showed a newborn baby swaddled in a blanket. The date 17 years ago scribbled on the back. Emma's eyes stung as she realized how much Ethan's baby face looked like her brother now. Ethan stared at the photo for a long time, then handed it back. His voice was soft but firm. "Maybe that was me once, but this," he gestured to Emma, to his parents, to the home around him. "This is who I am now." The woman sobbed quietly, nodding. "We just want to know you." "That's all," she whispered. "We don't want to take you away. We just want to be part of your life, for the first time. Ethan's face softened. The anger faded into confusion and sadness. He gave a small nod. "Maybe someday," he said. His voice was still trembling. But the words carried hope as the meeting ended. The biological parents left with tears and promises. The house remained quiet. But the storm had passed. Emma sat beside Ethan, leaning her head on his shoulder. "See? No matter what happens, you'll never be alone." He finally managed a small smile. "The first in days, I know," he whispered. "Because you're my sister, and that's the only truth that matters." Outside, the flashing police lights faded as the cars drove away. Inside, the family sat together, shaken but united. What had begun as a simple DNA test for fun had torn their world apart, exposed secrets buried for years, and brought strangers to their door. But in the end, it also proved something stronger than blood love. And as Emma and Ethan sat side by side, they knew that no matter how complicated the past was, their bond as twins would never break.